Greece. For nearly 400 years, Greece lived under Ottoman rule, yet the dream of freedom never died. In 1821, that dream ignited into the Greek War of Independence, a brutal struggle that, with the help of Britain, France, and Russia, finally brought freedom. A temporary First Hellenic Republic was formed, but the country remained unstable. In 1832, Otto of Bavaria from the House of Wittelsbach was chosen as the first king. Otto tried to rule as an absolute monarch, surrounded by Bavarian advisors and disconnected from his people. His refusal to grant a constitution and his failure to produce an heir eroded his legitimacy. In 1862, a revolt forced him to abdicate, and he died in exile in Bavaria. The crown passed to the House of Glücksburg from Denmark. King George I, formerly Prince William of Denmark, established a constitutional monarchy and oversaw modernization and territorial expansion. His reign ended abruptly in 1913, when he was assassinated in Thessaloniki during the Balkan Wars. His son Constantine I inherited the throne. When World War I broke out, Greece was torn by the national schism. Constantine, married to Sophia of Prussia, the German Kaiser's sister, favored neutrality while privately leaning toward the Central Powers. Prime Minister Eleftherios Venizelos, on the other hand, backed the Entente, believing it would bring Greece new lands. Under pressure from the Entente, Constantine abdicated in 1917 and went into exile in Switzerland, leaving the throne to his son, Alexander I. Soon after, Greece officially joined the Entente and entered the war on their side. Alexander's short reign ended tragically in 1920 when he was bitten by a monkey while defending his dog. The wound became infected, and within weeks he was dead, a bizarre loss that plunged Greece back into turmoil. Constantine returned to power, but the dream of expansion for Greece quickly collapsed. In 1919, Greek troops landed in Asia Minor to claim Ottoman lands promised by the Treaty of Sèvres, yet Mustafa Kemal's nationalists resisted, sparking the Greco-Turkish War. By 1922, Greece gained none of the territories it had hoped for. Constantine was forced to abdicate and went into exile in Italy, where he died the following year. In 1924, the Second Hellenic Republic was proclaimed. It did not last. In 1935, a coup restored the monarchy under King George II, who soon supported the dictatorship of Ioannis Metaxas. In 1940, Greece repelled an Italian invasion, but was conquered by Germany a year later. King George II fled to Egypt and later to London, while the country was divided between German, Italian, and Bulgarian occupation. After liberation, a bloody civil war erupted between royalists and communists, ending in a royalist victory. In 1967, a military coup ousted King Constantine II, who fled into exile first to Rome and later to London. The junta abolished the monarchy, and after its collapse in 1974, a national referendum confirmed that Greece would remain a republic. Montenegro. Across many centuries, Montenegro was a small but fiercely independent state in the mountains of the Western Balkans. Officially a vassal of the Ottoman Empire, it remained largely autonomous, ruled by its own leaders, and defined by a strong warrior tradition. From the 16th century, power rested in the hands of prince-bishops or vladikas, who combined spiritual and political authority, giving Montenegro a unique theocratic character. In 1852, Prince-Bishop Danilo II broke with the theocratic system and declared Montenegro a secular hereditary principality under the House of Petrović-Njegoš. His reign was short, and after his assassination in 1860, his nephew Nikola I became ruler, who would later be known as the father-in-law of Europe for marrying many of his daughters into European royal families. Under Nikola, Montenegro expanded its territory through wars with the Ottoman Empire, and in 1878 the Congress of Berlin granted the country official international recognition as an independent principality. In 1910, Nikola proclaimed himself king, transforming the principality into a kingdom. Although nominally a constitutional monarchy, he held near absolute power. During the First Balkan War, Montenegro fought alongside Serbia, Greece, and Bulgaria against the Ottoman Empire, capturing important territories. In 1914, when Austria-Hungary attacked Serbia, Montenegro entered World War I on the side of the Entente powers, defending its Slavic ally. By 1916, the country was occupied by Austro-Hungarian forces, and King Nikola fled to Italy, later settling in France. During the occupation, Montenegro's government operated in exile from France, continuing to represent the country within the Entente, though it struggled to assert influence over events back home. After the liberation in 1918, a power vacuum emerged in Montenegro. While the government was still in exile, the Podgorica Assembly, dominated by pro-Serbian delegates, accused Nikola of abandoning his people and voted to unify with the Kingdom of Serbia, which was then in the process of forming the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes, later known as Yugoslavia. With this vote, independent Montenegro officially ceased to exist, becoming part of the new South Slavic state. King Nikola, heartbroken and feeling betrayed, spent his final years in exile in France, where he continued to claim the throne, until his death in 1921. Serbia. For hundreds of years, Serbia was part of the Ottoman Empire, yet its people fiercely resisted foreign rule. The first Serbian uprising in 1804, led by Karađorđe Petrović, founder of the House of Karađorđević, briefly restored autonomy before being crushed. A decade later, the second uprising in 1815, led by Miloš Obrenović, re-established autonomy and founded the Principality of Serbia under the House of Obrenović. Throughout the 19th century, Serbia strengthened its independence, and in 1878, the Congress of Berlin recognized it as a sovereign state. In 1882, Prince Milan Obrenović proclaimed the Kingdom of Serbia, crowning himself king. His successor, King Alexander I, and his wife, Queen Draga, became deeply unpopular due to their autocratic rule and her controversial background. In 1903, army officers staged a coup, assassinating them and ending the Obrenović dynasty. The conspirators installed King Peter I from the rival house of Karađorđević, who became a symbol of constitutional reform and national revival. During the First Balkan War of 1912, Serbia fought with Montenegro, Greece, and Bulgaria against the Ottomans, gaining key territories. Disputes over these gains led to the Second Balkan War in 1913, where Serbia fought Bulgaria and emerged victorious. In 1914, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand gave Austria-Hungary a pretext to attack Serbia. Protected by Russia, Serbia was drawn into the web of alliances that sparked World War I. Though it initially repelled the invasion, a joint offensive by Austria-Hungary, Germany, and Bulgaria forced its army and government, including King Peter, to retreat through the Albanian mountains during a harsh winter. In 1918, as the Austro-Hungarian Empire collapsed, Serbian and South Slavic leaders united their peoples to form the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes, later called Yugoslavia, with the Serbian royal family as monarchs. Elderly King Peter remained a respected figurehead, while his son, Prince Alexander, served as regent and later became King Alexander I in 1921. He wanted to unify the ethnically diverse state, ruling in practice as an absolute monarch, but was assassinated in Marseille in 1934. His son, Peter II, became king under the regency of his cousin Prince Paul, as Peter was still a minor. In 1941, Prince Paul signed the Tripartite Pact with Nazi Germany, hoping to avoid invasion. The decision provoked outrage, and pro-Allied officers launched a coup, declaring 17-year-old Peter of age. Prince Paul was detained by the British and sent into exile in British Kenya, where he was placed under house arrest. Days later, Germany invaded and divided Yugoslavia among Axis powers. King Peter II fled abroad, joining the Yugoslav government in exile in London. At home, resistance arose between the royalist Chetniks led by Draža Mihailović and communist partisans led by Josip Broz Tito. By 1945, Tito's forces liberated the country and abolished the monarchy, establishing the Federal People's Republic of Yugoslavia. King Peter II lived the rest of his life in exile, first in Britain and later in the United States, where he died in 1970. Albania. For centuries, Albania remained under Ottoman rule, divided among tribal clans but maintaining a distinct identity. As the empire weakened during the Balkan Wars, Albanian leaders declared independence on November 28, 1912, establishing a new state amid regional upheaval. In 1914, Albania was recognized as a principality, and the great powers appointed Prince Wilhelm of the House of Vid as its ruler to stabilize the young nation. His rule, however, lasted only 6 months. Uprisings and political chaos forced him to leave the country just as World War I began. Though he never formally abdicated, Wilhelm joined the Imperial German Army, serving as an officer on the Eastern Front throughout the war. Officially, Albania remained neutral, but its territory became a battleground. Due to its strategic location on the Adriatic, the country was occupied and divided by Austria-Hungary, Italy, Greece, and France, each controlling different regions at various times. By the end of the war, Albania was in ruins and effectively stateless. After the war, U.S. President Woodrow Wilson's principle of national self-determination helped restore Albania's sovereignty in 1920. Prince Wilhelm never returned to Albania and lived in exile in Romania until his death in 1945. In the early 1920s, instability and power struggles plagued the country until Ahmet Zogu, a pragmatic and ambitious politician, rose to prominence. In 1925, he became Albania's first president, establishing the Republic of Albania. 3 years later, in 1928, he transformed it into a kingdom, proclaiming himself King Zog I of the House of Zogu. Zog became a colorful and resilient monarch, remembered not only for surviving at least 55 assassination attempts, but also for being regarded as the heaviest smoker in history, smoking over 200 cigarettes per day. Remarkably, it didn't slow him down. During one attempt on his life in 1931, he even drew his pistol and fired back at his attackers. In 1939, fascist Italy invaded Albania, overthrowing Zog's rule. The Italians established a formal protectorate over the Albanian kingdom, though in practice it was effectively an annexation, as Italy exercised full control and declared King Victor Emmanuel III of Italy as the King of Albania, while Zog fled into exile in Britain. After Italy's capitulation in 1943, Nazi Germany occupied Albania until 1944. As the Germans withdrew, communist partisans led by Enver Hoxha seized power, abolishing the monarchy and proclaiming the People's Republic of Albania in 1946. King Zog spent the rest of his life in exile living in Egypt and later in France, where he died in 1961.